Willie D Live.
What's up, family? If you have not done so already, make sure you follow my Willie D Live Conversations channel on YouTube. That's where I do all the interviews with notable people. Moving on. One of the people that I did an interview with is Shane Jenkins. Shane is one of the January 6th rioters. There were some people like, man, why you interview that dude? Why you woo? Why not? I want to know what they're thinking. Like, why do they think the way that they think? You know, I know I got my suspicions, but it ain't nothing like getting the information from the horse's mouth. So I sat down and I spoke with him. Why'd you sit down with him? You do understand that leaders of nations who have far more power than me or you find a way to sit down even when they have grievances. They still sit down and have a conversation because they understand that conversation rules the nation. And it can absolutely stop or prevent annihilation of the entire human race. So conversation, especially when you are talking with somebody who is open to understanding, it's a good thing. So that's what I did. I sat down and had a conversation with him, and he explained why he did what he did and why the other riders did what they did. And he also went in and talked about how a lot of things happened that the media didn't show to try to make them look bad. Y'all let me know what y'all think about it. Go ahead and drop your comments and I'll come back with mine.
I broke the window. I got 3 assaults on federal officers. I can handle that. You know, whether now my reasoning for behind the assaults and stuff like that were I'm witnessing people be beat, and I had been told over a megaphone that somebody had been shot and killed unarmed inside the Capitol.
Willie D Live.
Shane Jenkins. What's up, man?
Not much. How you doing, sir?
Oh, yeah, it's a lot. Hold on, bro. You're not going to slide that by, man. There's a lot going on with you, man. You were one of 1,100 January 6th rioters. Y'all decided to roll on the biggest and the baddest government in the world. Did you get mixed up in this, or did you make a conscious decision and had the foresight to know that what I'm doing is some pretty heavy stuff and there's some heavy consequences that come along with it?
Prior to leading up to that, I had no idea. I went to go protest what I felt like was a questionable, at best, election, and I intended to go to the Capitol and have my First Amendment rights exercised and protest, you know, and I wanted to see Donald Trump before he left office. I had never been to D.C. to a rally or been to see any of the history of the city, and I knew that if nothing changed, that Donald Trump would be out of office January 20th, so I decided to go to D.C. I was off of work, and so I just decided to go attend a protest.
Yeah, and you became the center of the protest. I mean, you was right in the thick of things. I saw you on a video, man. I can say this now. I am not trying to incriminate you, because this is already documented. But you're on video with a tomahawk axe, bludgeoning a window at the Capitol. Like, when you were doing this, like, at any point, did you just snap and say, man, this is crazy?
Yeah, so there was different levels to it, but, you know, whenever prior to that moment in time, I had been at the rally and some of my friends wanted to go to their hotel room and freshen up and use the restroom, and, you know, I went and got coffee for everybody. They came down, and when they came down, they looked at their phones and they said, oh my gosh, they've stormed the Capitol, right? And so I was like, something's happening. So I took off running to the Capitol to see what was going on. And when I come around to the west side of the building, they had these temporary grandstands set up where the president, around the inauguration stage, where the president would put his hand on the Bible when he gets sworn in. And it looked like somebody had kicked like a fire ant bed, and people were just climbing. These temporary stands were probably 5 stories tall, and there was people, it looked like fire ants climbing over them. And so I was like, I want to go see what exactly is going on. And so I climb up onto the actual inauguration stage, and in that moment, you know, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. And so in that moment, when I grabbed that little barrier wall to go over it to get to the inauguration stage, I heard a whisper, and it was like, Shane, this is dangerous. And in that moment, I stopped and I thought, well, you know, why am I here? Why is it worth me going over this wall just to see what's going on? And I thought about, you know, this is history, and I'm here for my children and for my great-grandchildren, the future of this country. I didn't know what was going to transpire, but I knew that it was God or the Holy Spirit telling me that this is dangerous where you're going. And so I chose to continue on over the wall. And whenever I got up over the wall, I made my way up to what's called the Lower West Tunnel. It's where the tunnel where the president walks out of whenever he gets inaugurated. And there's a ledge and there's a window to the left of it, and that's where I made my way up to. And I got up on the ledge, and I was filming and watching. And if you saw some of the videos, you may have seen me there.
I saw the video.
Yeah, just watching I was watching for a while, but what I noticed was people, the tunnel was filled up with police. What I didn't know was prior to that, the crowd had made their way all the way into the tunnel, and the cops had like bludgeoned them all the way out and rolled people up into a dog pile and kicked them all out of the tunnel. So I was kind of late to the show, right? So, but what I witnessed when I was on that ledge was people getting hit with billy clubs, and I saw an old man that was coming out of the tunnel, and he had like a mesh hat on, like a trucker hat, and he was just pouring blood down the side of his head. And what I hadn't seen any protester take direct action against a police officer. And so I was like, what is going on? Like I saw these people getting hurt, and I'm like, why are the police doing this? And I hadn't seen any actions thus far that I thought nobody had done anything directly to a police officer. So in my mind, as the situation developed, it was a time that I was there on that ledge. It was quite a bit of time, but my thinking was, if they're trying to go through these police to get into the building, we know on the other side they're letting people in, then why don't we just go through the window? The window it's not going to feel any pain. We could just go in the building through the window, and that's the path of least resistance. And I know it probably was the wrong decision, and it's a really bad optic look for somebody, especially confessing to be a Christian. But I figured break a window instead of somebody getting hurt or a police officer getting hurt to go into the building. So
see, we only saw the police officer standing down. I didn't see any video where the police officers were being aggressive with the rioters. I only saw police officers standing down and looking almost like they were like, come this way, guys. Come on, come through this way. Like, and just looking off like, you know, like it appeared to me that some of the cops that were there were kind of in on what was going on. That's what it appeared to me. Now, when you look back at all of this, everything first of all, how many years did you do in prison before Trump pardoned you?
I did 1,418 days or 46 and a half months.
46 and a half months. Okay. So, looking back, do you believe that storming the Capitol on the 6th of January 2021 helped you achieve your political goals? Or do you believe that ultimately it hurt your cause?
In the short run, like right after that was the thing that was used to smear the Republican Party and to smear Donald Trump. And I didn't go to the Capitol because Donald Trump sent me to the Capitol to storm the Capitol. I didn't even go to the Capitol to storm the Capitol. I didn't even know. I couldn't have told you on January 6th what an insurrection was. And so I went to go protest, and I ran up on a situation that quickly devolved into chaos. And you know, I do believe that after that day, it did really tarnish the MAGA movement and Donald Trump. But the thing for me is no, I'm accountable for my own actions, right? Like I'm a firm believer. Like I broke the window, I got 3 assaults on federal officers. I can handle that. Whether now my reasoning for behind the assaults and stuff like that were, I'm witnessing people be beat, and I had been told over a megaphone that somebody had been shot and killed unarmed inside the Capitol. And that is true. And what a lot of people also don't know is that 4 protesters died on Capitol grounds that day. That's not something that's just broadly published. But today you can go look that up and find that out. And I could show you all kinds of video of police officers shooting rubber bullets head high at eye level. They were launching flashbangs and tear gas into a crowd that's peacefully milling about, not doing anything. There was officers with pepper ball guns, like a paintball, shooting just random people in the crowd with paintballs. And I'm not one to sit idly by whenever I witness people being brutalized. It doesn't matter if it's by, just civilian on civilian, or if it's police on civilian. I'm not okay with that. And so whenever I found out somebody had been killed inside, and I had been bludgeoned and pepper sprayed 4 times when I had taken no action against the police. And so,
You mean at the Capitol?
Yeah, at the Capitol. So after the window incident, when I hit the window, people started going, no, we don't do that, right? And I was like, okay. So the crowd was not with that, right? So I put the tomahawk up, and I was like, well, they don't want to do that. Well, I'm going to go in the tunnel and see why these people are being hurt in there. And so I made my way through the crowd, and it was like you've had big concerts before. It would be like trying to move from the back of the floor to the front of the floor. It's just like shoulder to shoulder. You just got to work your way through there. Well, as I'm working my way through the crowd, just to get up to the front of the police line, I get pepper sprayed in the face 4 times, and I've done nothing to anyone. I'm probably 20, 30 feet from the police, and I'm getting pepper sprayed. And then when I finally get up close enough, I have to turn around and put my hoodie up over my head and work my way through the crowd backwards. When I do get up to the police, I get hit from behind with a baton, and clearly with my back turned, I didn't do anything to the police. Come to find out, this officer's name was he's Commander Bagshaw from the DC Police, and there was a woman right next to me who I found out later was named Victoria White, but he struck her in the head with the same baton 30 plus times, and she never took a direct aggressive action against him at all. As a matter of fact, you can hear her on video, "Stop, please, what are you doing?" And that's the same officer that hit me from behind. And so after that happened, I got hit in the head. Somebody popped some kind of tear gas or something in the tunnel, and I couldn't breathe. And so I climbed basically up over the crowd and out of the tunnel. And when I made my way back to the ledge where I was at before, a guy who I later came to know as Ryan Nichols, he was in the DC jail with me for 32 months. He got on the megaphone and said, "Hey, my dad just texted me. Somebody's been shot and killed unarmed inside the Capitol." And so people at that point were like, now they're killing people. Now this is a whole nother level of, they're in our eyes, they're stealing the election. They're assaulting people. I've been assaulted, I've been hit from behind with a baton. Now they're killing people inside the Capitol. And I was like, and I'm watching it, still people getting brutalized. And I'm like, as far as at that moment in time, I pretty much snapped and lost my cool. And I just went down to the stairs at the foot of the tunnel, and I started throwing sticks and whatever I could, pieces of crutches, a desk drawer, like all kinds of stuff that you could see on video that I was throwing. But I did 32 months in the DC jail with people that were Marines, Navy, Air Force, Airborne Rangers, Special Forces, Green Berets, and these guys are trained, by the military. And they are in jail for assaulting police officers. I know a guy Thomas Webster, did 30 years as a honorable service as an NYPD officer, 10 years on the governor's detail in New York in the NYPD, and he got 10 years for assaulting a DC cop because he saw the cop hit a woman, and then he retaliated against the cop because he's like, "What are you doing?" and attacked the cop. He gets 10 years in prison for it. So these guys that are trained military and police that are witnessing the same type of thing, I probably know out of all the people that I spent time with in the DC jail, probably out of 100 men, 2 of them I witnessed on video just going after the police, just going hard, just for the sake of going hard. The other people, like 99% of them, have a story like, well, I witnessed this woman get pushed down the stairs. And I could show you some of these stories. Get pushed down the stairs, then they react. Or somebody next to them gets hit with the baton in the head, and they're like, hey, what are you doing? And go after the police. And then now you're going to jail for assaulting a federal officer. And you were, not only that you were defending somebody, but now you're an insurrectionist. Now you're a domestic terrorist. Like, they'd make it into this big deal. Like, I'm not a domestic terrorist, man. I went to a rally, and at worst it got out of control. You know what I mean? But they made us these big. They messed up because at first, like you asked me before, it was really, really bad for the movement. But as it continued to, they say that it takes a long time for the truth to get out. But once you start breaking down these videos and you start looking at this stuff, and we had 32 months in the DC jail with access to 16,000 hours of video, and we started watching all these videos, and we could show you, like, this happened and then this happened. We could break down timelines, and we started smuggling out footage and getting it out to the news and the different people that wanted to show the truth, because some people didn't want to show the truth. But we started to change that narrative, and eventually people came to see that the government had been weaponized, the DOJ had been weaponized, and they came after us full bore like we had an intentional plan to overthrow the government, and we didn't.
All right, fam. Give me a thumbs up if you believe it went down like Shane said it did. Thumbs down if you say, nah, man, I don't think it went down like that. I don't believe him. I saw the video, fam. At first, I didn't believe the story, but I saw the video of the police being very aggressive with the rioters before they actually went into action. The police was busting them all across the head, stomping them out and everything. Now, does that excuse their behavior? Yeah. I know one thing. Had they not been of a particular hue, we know how that would have went. That would have been a carnage. That's how that would have went. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.